Hello, everybody, and for session 5 out of 8, we will be going over 2 more ways to write fractions and decimals. Isn't it surprising how many ways there are to write fractions and decimals? Well, all of these ways are bound to come in handy, and I'm sure this video hopefully will come in handy. So, the first way we will be going over today is ratios. How to use ratios. What are they? They are a way to write how many of something to another thing is there. So let's go to this problem. The ratio of fish to hamsters, so that would be this something to another thing there are. So the ratio would be 2 to 8. How do I form them? They are formed like fractions, but have this sign. So, and just to let you know, they are this you wouldn't want to say the ratio of fish to hamsters in a pet shop is 2/8. Like that can be said, but it's easier to write the normal way is to say it in this ratio form. So you can do these practice problems, and ratios, by the way, can be simplified the exact same way as fractions. So do these practice problems, simplify this one, like how they can be simplified with fractions, and once you're done, unpause the video and I'll go over it. So hopefully you figured out them both. If not, I will be telling you how to do it. So number 1, the ratio of fish to hamsters in a pet shop is 2 to 8. If there are 56 hamsters, then how many fish are there? So fish to hamsters meaning 2 is the fish and then 8 is the hamsters. So if there are 56 hamsters, so 8 turns to 56, then how many fish are there? So 2 out of 8 has to equal blank out of 56. So 8 times what equals 56? Well, 8 times 7 equals 56. So that means we have to multiply 7 times to 2 to get how many fish there are. And 7 times 2 equals 14. So that 14 fishes. Fish. Oh yeah, there's no such thing as fishes. So the answer is fish. 14 fish. Okay. Number 2. If the ratio of boys to girls is 8 to 90, how can you simplify this? So you can simplify it by dividing one number from both sides. So the greatest common factor of this number is 2. So you can divide both sides by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then 90 divided by 2 is 45. So the simplified thing is 4 to 45. Now, 5 to 2. 5 dash 2. Forming proportions with ratios. What are proportions? Proportions, a set of two equal ratios. Steps to achieve them with ratios. So it's when you're going to fill out the missing value. So if it's 2 to 6 here, then 8 to 12. Step number 1. Cross multiply that means like for 2 to 6, you can do 2 times the 12. Cross multiply the given pair that has no variable. So this has this is a variable. Number 2. Divide the product with the other value that is cross paired with the variable. So did these 2 practice problems and you hopefully got it correct. So I'll be going over them now. So 2 to 6 and 8 to 12. So this is the numerator for the first one. If you write it in fraction form, this would be the denominator. So you can do 2 times 12, 2 times 12, and you get 24. Now you have 6, which is the other value, which is cross-paired with a, which is the variable. 24 divided by 6 equals 4, meaning that the variable a equals 4. Variables basically are just stand for a number. So it's not that complicated that you're probably thinking, oh no, there's letters in math, I'm so confused. but it's just a sign that's standing for a number. So this, now we know that a is just equal to 4. So you can, if you want, just replace this with a 4, but you don't have to. Just write a to 4, a equals 4, and that would be your answer. Now, number 2. If 9 to 10 equals a to 54, then what is a? So the given pair, once again, would be 9 times 54. So let's do this. 9 times 54. So we start with 9 times 4, that is 36. And then 9 times 5, 45. Plus 3 is 48. So the answer would be 486. Now we have to get it equal to 10. So 486 divided by 10 equals, remember how we learned about decimals? This one would be a case where we do decimals. And when you're dividing by 10, at the moment, the decimal point would be here. But when you're dividing by 10, just move the decimal point once. So now instead of here, the decimal point would now be 48.6. So the answer is A equals 48.6. So this time the answer is in a decimal, but it's all right. It's still the answer. So if you got confused, it's all right. Hopefully you got the first one correct at least. If not, at least you tried your best. Now on to a percent, which is the fourth way that you can write fractions or decimals. The first one being ratios, second one being percent. So what is percent? Percent is, this is more to do with decimals. So percent is the decimal number having its decimal point moved 2 times to the left, because percent is calculated in hundreds, and adding this sign. That's the sign. So how do you write in this form? So if you have to convert 0.45 into percent, it would actually be to the right. My bad. To the right. So it would be to the right once and then twice. So it would be 45. And then 45, then we add the percent sign. 45%. Practice. What is 3.56 written in percent form? So we just have to move it. Okay, actually, I'm going to let you guys do this. And then the second one is here. Number 2. George has 75% of the amount of candy that Cindy has. If Cindy has 625 pieces of candy, how many pieces of candy does George have? So hopefully you pause the video and solve both of them. If not, if you didn't understand them or you haven't done it, then pause it now and I will go over them now. So 3.56, just move the decimal twice to the right because it's calculated in hundreds. You have to know that it's calculated in hundreds. And so we move it twice to the right. 1, 2. So this would be 3.56 in percent form would be 356%. So number 2. George has 75% of the amount of candy that Cindy has. If Cindy has 625 pieces of candy, how many pieces of candy does George have? So this one's very tough, like in my opinion. If it wasn't tough for you, congratulations. So if you got this wrong, I would have got it wrong if I didn't know what this was. So, but now since I know what it was, and I know how to solve it. So the way you do this is you convert it back to decimal form. So at the moment, 75 has a decimal point right here. But now to get it to decimal form, you have to move it to the left, meaning once here, then twice. So decimal form, this would be equal to 0.75. And now Cindy has 625 pieces. So this one is a tough part. Maybe you got this step. I would have gotten this step. But the next part, you don't know what to do with the 625. Do you divide? Do you multiply? Well, the correct answer is you multiply. So 625 times 0.75. So let's get a blank document PDF. Right, we can do scratch paper because it never hurts to solve. So we can forget about the decimal point and add it back later. So for now, we just need to know that it has 2 places because it's moved once and twice to get rid of it. So 625 times 75 equals, okay, 5 times 5, 25. So 5 times 2, 10, plus 2, 12. Now 5 times 3, 5 times 6, 30, plus 1, 31. 0 as a placeholder. Now 7 times 5, 35. Then 7 times 2, 14. 14 plus 3, 17. 7 times 6, 42. 42 plus 1, 43. So let's add this. 5 plus 0, 5. 5 plus 2, 7. 7 plus 1, 8. 3 plus 3, 6. 4 plus nothing, 4. So now we get 46,875, but we have to add back the 2 decimal places. So we 1, 2. So George has 468.75 pieces of candy. Imagine having a decimal amount of candy. That would be rough. But he apparently has it in this problem. So he got 468.75 pieces of candy. And if you're wondering why we multiply and not divide, because if you divide, you should know, like if you divide with a normal number like 4 divided by 2, 4 gets smaller. So if we divide by a decimal, like 4 divided by 0.5, then 4 gets larger if you don't know, because 4 as a fraction would be 4 over 1. And then we can, and 0.5 as a fraction would be half. This would be divide. Divide, then this, remember, we have to do the reciprocal, 4 over 1 times 2 over 1. So it gets larger, see? So, and since 75% of something, you have to know that 75 is less than 1, meaning that George has less than Cindy. So, but since normally when you multiply, the number gets larger, in this case, since it's decimals, when you multiply, it will get smaller, meaning you have to get smaller, as I mentioned earlier, so you would have to multiply, not divide. So this was a pretty quick lesson, pretty easy. I just wanted to give you some more info on ways to write fractions and decimals, and hopefully it came in handy. So yeah, and ratios and percent and proportions, you probably will come up with this, and it's common, just not as common as fractions and decimals, but still very helpful. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and keep watching.